So at Juniper, we have created an 8-stage journey for our customers. Now, for every company, those stages could be different.
Hello and welcome to another super fantastic episode of Pitch Cafe podcast. I say this because I'm driven by experience, and my experience with our guest today has been amazing. She is a leader for all women in leadership who want to aim for the C level. She has been with the biggest labels in the industry like HP, Netflix, Cisco, and many more. And today she is the VP of Global Customer Experience at Juniper. Without further ado, let's bring on Surbhi Kaul, who is going to give us a ride through landscape of networking and how it is changing with cloud and AI. Surbhi, welcome to Pitch Cafe podcast. Truly an honor to have you here.
Thank you, Vida. It's my pleasure and honor. Thank you so much.
So Surbhi, I'm a big fan of you. I have seen you in so many occasions. You're not only an amazing speaker at TiECon 2023, she was on the AI panel, and you're also an amazing singer. You're a great person to hang out with. Tell me, who is Surbhi Kaul and why she's at Juniper, why now? And what made her choose CX leadership as her next big passion or next big thing?
Thank you for that question. That's a very insightful question. Something that to answer, I have to give you a little bit of history. I started my journey as a networking engineer after I finished my master's in computer science. So I got an undergrad in India at IIT Kanpur. I came here with my master's in computer science at Texas A&M, and I got my first job in the Bay Area at HP. And I have been in the networking, grew up in the engineering ranks, and then gradually moved to product management. And I would say last 15 years, I have done product management. And after spending a decade at Google, when I was looking at my next challenge, I really wanted to come to a place where there was a transformation going on, right? Where there was a big enough problem to be solved that I could be part of that solution, solving it with the leadership, where leadership believed that transformation was needed and necessary for us to be successful in the next stage. As you can imagine, in the last 25 years, networking space has completely changed. So much has happened, and innovation continues to happen, and you need to align with companies which are aware of that and are investing in that innovation to be successful in the next stage.
Fantastic. So let's talk about this evolution of cloud. Silicon Valley is synonymous of innovation in cloud as we stand today. And what I learned when I reviewed your latest blog, Winning by CX, that is customer experience, you talk about different ways in which we please the customer, but enterprise cloud is so B2B. What made you write a blog like that, and why do you double down and bet on CX? What is this whole transformation from B2B to this customer experience? How did you chart that course?
So Vida, that's a very insightful question, because customer experience is something that has always been very much at the center, the heart of everything we do in B2C. Because the thinking is that consumers need simple, easy to adopt, easy to onboard products, right? Whereas in the B2B world, traditionally the products have been where you create the product, you launch it, and then you train, you coach, you provide manuals. So that has been the traditional path. But with SaaS becoming very prevalent, with cloud becoming very prevalent, now companies have to think a little differently, where this B2C thinking has to come into B2B. What I mean by that is post-Apple, technology has become very ubiquitous. Everybody is using technology, whether it's our mobile devices or in-home entertainment, voice-enabled, or your devices that are controlled through voice and mobile. So everybody's closer to technology than they were 20 years ago. And these same consumers are the users in various enterprise companies. So when I build a product, I may be selling to a buyer who's making an enterprise decision, but my end user is still the consumer mindset that expects the same simplicity that an Apple device or any other consumer device, user-friendly device has. They expect the same simplicity in our heavily technical products.
Awesome.
So that means experience becomes front and center in how we're building these products. So all the complexity that we have, especially in infrastructure products, they're really deeply technical and very complex. That complexity needs to be hidden by easy to use interfaces, easy to adopt, easy to onboard. So once we get our foot in the door with a customer, we can really help them get value out of our products.
Okay, this is an amazing shift that I'm hearing from Surbhi here today. Surbhi, let's double click on what you just said. Look, I'm co-authoring a book on startups, and their product-led growth is hammered down in every chapter. You know, we talk about it from the beginning, and here you are talking about customer experience. Can you put a big picture thinking to this? What we say is that all the metrics, customer acquisition, customer retention, these are the things that should drive the startup expenses and the balance sheet. And you're saying that when we build a product, we have to put a front face to it and think like the customer. Can you map this for us?
Yeah. So when we think of customer experience, Vida, we're not just thinking about product and building a product and what's happening inside the product. Customer experience is actually much broader and starts, that journey for a customer starts even before they become our customer. So when they're just maybe inquiring and understanding and discovering about the various products, not just ours, all the competitors, and they're at the very beginning of their journey to say, oh, I need to build a data center or a campus, or I need to set up my wide area network, they will start inquiring and looking at what are the products available. Customer experience is applicable even then. So customer experience is very upstream thinking, and it has to go all the way from that inquiry phase into how they engage with our product, do maybe a proof of concept, how we go through the marketing, the selling, and then the post-sales, what we call the product-led growth, which is where the customer success comes into play. And customer success became a really important factor after companies like Salesforce that were all SaaS focused. They said, this is the way we grow. And how quickly can we get that time to value? How can we shorten that? So the customer starts seeing value, and now I can influence the customer to grow. So that product-led growth is the same concept of how do you build a product in a way that they can quickly get value out of it, and you continue to grow that account, and you can continue to upsell and cross-sell even other use cases.
Right.
So all of this is part of the customer experience and customer journey.
So you've summarized this whole crucial phase in business development, and you are calling it customer experience, and that's the map. So you have eight phases in that you talk about. Can you tell a little bit about those phases for people who don't understand how this journey is mapped?
Yeah. So at Juniper, we have created an 8-stage journey for our customers. Now, for every company, those stages could be different.
Right.
Based on what your product is, what vertical you belong to, and who is the set of customers you're supporting or helping. And if you're a SaaS company, that might be slightly different as well. But for us at Juniper, the 8-stage journey does begin with this discovery stage, where customers are trying to assess. They might come on our websites, they might attend a webinar, they might be talking to an inside sales rep. But the idea is, how are they understanding and learning about our products? And then how is that sales cycle for them? How easy is it to do business with Juniper? Even that is part of customer experience thinking, because we want to make sure that even before they get to that product and product-led growth that you were talking about, is their experience so beautiful and so seamless that they are willing to do business with it, that is an influencer in their ability to take on Juniper versus any other competitor.
So when I was doing research about Juniper, that was the first thing which came up to me in the search and all the documents I saw, that Juniper leads with experience. They are successful in customer experience.
Absolutely.
So, let's move on from that topic on that high note. And I know that, whenever there's a panel in Silicon Valley on AI and we need to bring someone on, especially from the Indian diaspora, it's always you come and make the next visionary statement about the industry trends. So I have to ask you this: what are the ways in which AI is influencing Juniper's roadmap or the next few products you're going to roll out? How is that coming along?
So AI has always been part of a lot of solutions that we provide. We have assurance-based products that actually enable the customers to go from a very reactive mindset to becoming more proactive, to becoming more predictive, where we can assess that there is an anomaly or there's a failure that could happen. And with that prediction, that insight that we provide customers, they can avoid an outage. So that's the world we have created already with AI. Now with generative AI, things explode even more.
Right.
Now I'm starting to look at not just within the product, AI capabilities for my customers. I'm looking at how I can use Gen AI for really having impactful engagements with my customers along that 8-stage journey that I was talking about. And we have a lot of discussion in the industry outside of Juniper as well. There is a forum of CX leaders who comes together to talk about how can Gen AI be really impactful for all of our customers. And the thinking is that there are two ways of looking at this. You can look at building internal efficiencies first, whether it's in the marketing space of creating collateral, whether it's in the support case of creating knowledge articles. There's a lot of internal efficiencies that many companies are looking at to build through generative AI. And then similarly, there could be customer-facing areas where you could improve their ability to search your products, their ability to do competitive analysis. All of these are use cases throughout that customer journey that can be impacted. But as we all know, there are also challenges and risks involved. So the thing is, maybe we should look at how we build our own internal efficiency in a co-pilot style so that we can also assess whether the progression and the savings and the impact that we are creating through these Gen AI use cases is really fruitful and giving the company the ROI that we need. In the future, we could look at more customer facing when we have de-risked some of these issues that are called out about Gen AI or ChatGPT. We want to make sure that the customer's comfort level has risen before we solve for customer-facing use cases. So all of these debates are going on not only at Juniper, but every company, all the CX leaders who come together, we talk about it a lot. But one thing is very commonly understood and accepted, that the best place where we can really have Gen AI's impact is in our customer engagement, customer touch points across every stage of that journey.
Fantastic. So that's a great way of, for all you guys who are building startups who could be prospective vendors for Juniper. That's a great idea, I would say. So Surbhi, you mentioned a very interesting CX forum you're a part of. What is this forum, and what is the kind of effort you're putting in to advance AI efforts there? How do you guys manage your meetings and forums? What is it all about?
So it's all about sharing the knowledge and ensuring that we are building a world where we are improving the customer level or the customer centricity in our products, in our environments, and also influencing the vendors. So this is the other interesting part. A lot of the use cases that enterprises want to build ourselves, could we influence the large vendors, like maybe a Salesforce platform, maybe SAP, maybe Oracle, to say, we need to ensure that you are using Gen AI in a certain way to solve some of these use cases on your platform, so that every enterprise that could be a customer of any of these large vendors is not left to figure these pieces out themselves, but we can influence these vendors to build the solutions for us. So there is a CX forum, just like you have, CIO events and roundtables. Now, since CX is becoming such a common thing for enterprises to have a CX discipline in the company, CX leaders, a similar effort is happening where CX leaders are coming together to share ideas, share thoughts, share challenges, share, how to influence the culture of a company. Because enterprises that are focusing on experience are also realizing that it's a mind shift that needs to happen in every part of the company. It's not just that you establish a CX team and they can really make sure that everything is CX centric. That CX centricity has to go in every part of the business, whether it's marketing, whether it's sales, whether it's support. And along with that, every process has to become customer-centric, internal. So a lot of internal teams that are not even customer-facing or customer-touching have to be aware of how is my work, my day-to-day planning and decision-making impacting my customers. So that is a big cultural shift.
Talking about shifts, there's one shift which I heard about in my other forums where I discuss about technology change. It says law of accelerating returns. It seems that in 2023, tech recession has kicked in, and because of this, a lot of companies who are depending on large cloud companies for infrastructure, their payments have gone up, and they are coming out of cloud, and they're setting up their own local computer hubs. So this is called law of accelerating returns. When any technology advances sufficiently, something will come and push it back and slow it down. So do you see this kind of trends where you are, or do you feel it's normal, the ebb and flow is normal? What are your thoughts on this?
So I feel that ebb and flow is normal, and that ebb and flow also depends on the trajectory of the company. Like you said, there was a time, I remember, when cloud was, just nascent, and people would, CIOs would choke at the thought of putting their workloads in cloud. They were like, I'm never going to cloud.
Right.
And then we changed from that to a world where startups were completely being born in cloud. Everything was happening in cloud and stayed there till they reached a certain level of growth when they felt the economics, it makes more sense to have maybe some of those workloads in a local or on-prem data center owned by the company. So people like Uber went through this, other startups as they grow and become big enough, and it's viable for them to have a data center where some of the workloads are there, some continue to be in some cloud. There's this hybrid model, and so there's always a balance of economics that's happening. And you're right, as the infrastructure becomes cheaper or more expensive, that balance will keep shifting. So there will be that ebb and flow all the time.
Fantastic. Yeah, so this is kind of reassuring coming from a leader from Silicon Valley, because Silicon Valley is the cloud leader for the world. So on that note, you talked about the CX forum. I want to, along those lines, ask you about the work you've done with women in product. And of all these years you spent as a leader in product management and product marketing, and the product space, what is your advice to women in product if they're pursuing a career like you do? So what are some things you can talk about?
Supporting and influencing women, not just in product, but any technology field, right? In any STEM area. And it is challenging. Despite all the effort and incentives and focus that leaders are putting in bringing more diverse candidates, more women candidates into leadership roles, the road has not been easy. And I think it stems from the fact that we are very few, right? So coalitions like Women in Product, Women in Tech are all very important to create that space for women to come and have these conversations, to give, women who have made it as leaders, they need to then turn around and give advice, guidance, mentorship to other women that are at the start of their journey, which is why I'm always involved in initiatives like this. And I was leading the local chapter of Women in Product at one point. And that's my way of giving back to the community. That's my way of ensuring that we are paving the path for women leaders, whether it's in product or in technology. And what I would share with you, or the guidance I typically give, and I think you and I have had many conversations around this, is we need to do a little bit of extra homework to get a little bit of to like get the same seat at the table. Right. So we should not hesitate from taking on these challenging roles. A lot of times, and this is a study that has shown that men, even if they have 60 to 70% of the skill set for a role, they will apply for that. They will go try and grab it. Whereas women wait till they have acquired all the skill sets, 90 to 95% before they would even apply for a role, before they will take on a challenge. And what I want to say to women is that don't be afraid. Take on the challenge and then build your village, build your support structure around you that'll help you, seek out other women leaders, seek out other allies and champions within your company, not just, women leaders, but also male allies. Right. I think that's very important. In fact, at Juniper, we have a big program on building male allyship. How do we coach our male leaders to support women, encourage women, be aware of the challenges?
Okay, that's why I'm doing podcast with Surbhi, because she talks about such amazing things. I have never even thought about this.
Yeah.
Come to think, you talked about the shift in from B2B to B2C thinking. You talked about shift in, coaching male allies. You also talked about shift in customer experience. So many new things coming out here. I'm super excited. So, all right. So, what is Surbhi like outside work? What is she like? Is she like a geek, or does she like to play soccer? I know she sings. I couldn't get her to sing today, but what is she like?
So outside of work, I'm pretty much like this. I have a very positive mindset and way of thinking of life. And I talk the same excited and positive way to my children as I do with my teams. And I recently had the opportunity to go to UCLA and give a seminar to their Anderson School of Business. And I was the same way. I was walking amidst the students. And it was a 3-hour-long seminar. And
what did you talk about?
About product management.
Wow.
About how to. This is MS class and master's program, and I wanted to give them a glimpse. They're doing data analytics and business analytics, and I wanted to give them a glimpse of what product management is all about.
Absolutely.
And how data analytics is so important in every phase of the product life cycle.
I think somebody like you coming and talking about it in a college, it could change somebody's life. If somebody comes and vouches for the value your school work has in building a career,
Absolutely.
It could shift somebody's life.
Absolutely.
Thinking, yeah,
that was it, because a lot of students then approached me and said that they did not realize the many places that their learnings were applicable. So it got them super excited about the field of product management, how they can influence it, how they can bring the right data at the right time in the product journey, product life cycle, to be able to influence products of the future. So very, very exciting. And I was the same way. I was hyper, I was walking around and I was just feeling so energized to be able to connect with students and help them, connect the dots on where their trajectory could be. So
this is amazing. You kind of come full circle. Here you are in a large corporation, a very big and responsible role, and then your customer well, and now you're building the future leaders and customers.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So this is why I feel like, places like Women in Product and Women in Tech is our way to ensure that we are setting this path of success for other women leaders of the future.
Yeah. So I want to wrap up by quoting this incident. I was interviewing another woman leader, and she said for her the most important moment in her life was as a 7 or 8 year old. She went to her mother's office, and it was led by a female CEO in a pink jacket. And she asked her, can somebody like me be a CEO, like a girl be a CEO? Because it was so male dominant, and she just stood out in a pink jacket. And she said, yes, very well, you can. And it kind of changed her life. And that's what you do when you go to college and you talk about your work.
I hope so. And there were women students who approached me and talked exactly about that, where this problem that I address, where women, a lot of times in tech, you are the only woman in the room.
Right.
You're the only woman at the table.
Right.
And then to make your voice heard, it's not easy. So and the same challenge was posed to me by these students who were like, when I'm the only woman in the group, or the only woman in
I keep telling you also.
Right? Exactly. We were talking about it. It's not easy. And that's why I was saying that there is some homework that we need to do to build allies within the company and within the place here.
So that's about the students. Now I want to talk about a phase which every woman goes through after she's married and she has kids. Like, we have to choose sometimes between a career and kids. And you seem to be in a very comfortable place, and you have kids who are in UCLA. So what did you do to keep that sanity and to keep that inner joy and happiness with this juggling?
Yeah, it is that is $1 million question. And a lot of women ask me, can you do both? And I remember Indra Nui had an interview where she said, you cannot have it all.
You cannot have it all, right?
And that's okay. And that's okay.
Dishes not done, clothes not folded, it's fine.
So you will have to balance, right? Sometimes. And I stopped working for a couple of years after my second child was born. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
After then,
why did you do that?
Because I found I was getting absolutely inundated. Trying to balance work, trying to,
kids, right?
be a good mom. There's also guilt, a lot of guilt that we place on ourselves that if we are not investing enough time with our kids, when they're younger, we feel a lot of guilt. And I thought, for me, that was the right. Now, I don't say that that's the right decision or the right option for everybody is different.
Right.
But you have to do what's right for you and not worry. What I tell younger women is don't worry. if you take a break. You can still come back.
Yeah, and you're like a real testimony. You went to Google after that, and you worked at India Community Center, and then you went to Google, and they're like two polar opposites. ICC is a non-profit, and Google is like the most competitive workplace to be, and even Juniper.
Yeah.
So I think it's okay to take a break.
It's okay.
It's your trajectory,
okay.
right? Yeah.
I will caution that coming back to mainstream work is hard. It's not easy.
Yeah.
Because people will look at that break and think, okay, are you still relevant?
Yeah.
Do you still have the relevant skills? Are you still caught up with the technology? And you will have to make your re-entry.
Yeah.
But it's not impossible. It's a little harder.
Yeah.
But I feel that in the future, it's becoming easier and easier because not only women, I think sometimes men are also taking breaks.
Yeah.
Both parents are taking paternity leaves, right? Maternity and paternity. Both parents are thinking of taking breaks for their children.
Yeah.
So I think the future will be more accepting of that.
Yeah.
However, like I said, a couple or a set of parents have to make their own decision what's right for them. Yeah. And there's no cookie cutter answer here.
Answer. Yeah. Jayashree Lal also took a break. That's what I heard for 3 years or so, 2 to 3 years. Yeah. And then she went back and look where she is right now.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't feel that women should be. A lot of young women approach me and ask me, right, how do you balance, family and work? Yeah. And all I tell them is, when the time comes, you will figure out. You will figure out what's right for you, and you will be able to make your path back, whether it's slowly or whether you continue to work through that. That's okay. It's your choice, right?
So, Surbhi, you were talking about the entire CX landscape, this amazing landscape you talked about where PLG comes in. Now, let's talk about CX itself. Why has it become so important in the B2B space? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's a very important nugget of information. Why CX and why now? You asked me that. And I feel the reason is that in the infrastructure space, especially, the products are becoming more commoditized. Mm-hmm. They're very similar. Mm-hmm. If I look at my competition versus my products, the speeds and feeds, the features might be very similar.
Right.
So you have to look at another axis of differentiation. Mm-hmm. And that axis of differentiation can absolutely be the customer experience. Mm-hmm. How easy is it for the customer to do business with us? Mm-hmm. How easy is it for them to understand and use our products? So the usability, the serviceability, the ability to really upgrade, to be continuously on the latest and greatest features that we build, all of that aspects of the experience for the customer is how we can differentiate ourselves. Mm-hmm. So in a landscape, in a competitive landscape where all else is the same, your big needle mover could be customer experience. And that's why in enterprise markets it has become so important right now.
Fantastic. On that note, very reluctantly, I want to wrap up this podcast. I really wanted to ask you about the competitive landscape you're working on. How do CX guys plan their, working with their competition, and a lot of questions about this new space. It seems like a disruptive space to be in. Mm-hmm. Maybe we'll save it for another podcast. Thank you so much for your most valuable time.
Thank you, Vida. It's such a pleasure to be here and to be talking to your audience. Thank you.
Thank you.